This is the Hub on Hollywood. I'm James.
I'm Jamie.
And we love movies.
So much.
I feel like every time we have a new episode, we just jam in more plush.
It's getting crowded in here, James.
Toys. Look at, we have decorations now. We have a big shindig going on.
Our first episode, we had nothing.
Nothing.
Like, literally.
Look.
It was blank in the back, and it was blank in the front.
We're moving on up.
I can't even fit in my chair.
We are moving on up. Look at us.
Okay.
Jam-packed show today. We have a lot to talk about.
Yeah.
Spider-Man talk, of course.
Woo!
A lot of changes. A lot of recent big updates.
Huge news.
Huge announcements that we're going to be talking about.
Yeah.
Star Wars.
Yeah.
Empire Magazine came out with some awesome looking photos.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
We got some new details.
Interesting interviews. We'll break it all down. We'll let you know what's up. And then,
And last week we got a little ahead of ourselves, but this week we're going to be reviewing the new Brad Pitt film Ad Astra, also starring Tommy Lee Jones.
Yes, and it's the very first time we've seen the same movie for the same, episode.
Do we have the same opinion? We'll find
see.
out. We'll actually find out together because I don't know what you think.
Exactly. We have not discussed this ahead of time, so we might actually, kill each other. Who knows?
Yeah.
Stick around. We'll see.
All right.
But
first we got to answer
the wicked nerdy question
from last week, of course.
Exactly. Okay, so the wicked nerdy question from last week. Let's see how wicked and nerdy you are. What is the name of the actress from Pitch Perfect who was born in New England?
And talks about New England so much.
A lot.
Too much, if you ask me.
Well, that's where she gets her sass.
Yeah.
That's where she gets her personality for the movie. So what is the name of the actress from Pitch Perfect who is from New England and loves to talk about it?
Anna Kendrick.
She's so cute.
She is really cute.
She's
at
adorable.
First, she grew on me because she was, of course, in the Twilight films.
Yeah.
And, I'm a guy. It wasn't my thing. And
that's right. Yeah, she was.
It wasn't really my thing. I don't. People forget that.
They do.
I feel like people forget
forgot.
that. Yeah, but then she was obviously her career exploded after Twilight. She became. She started joining much better films, and my appreciation for Anna Kendrick.
Subtle dig.
Yeah, sorry, Twilight fans. Sorry, guys. It's It has the reputation for a reason. So.
Yeah. Okay.
Anna Kendrick.
All right.
She's
Anna
cool
Kendrick. We love her.
She's good for me.
Just not Twilight.
No.
Apparently. No, me neither. But you know what, James?
What?
I'm so excited.
Why are you excited?
Because we have things to be excited about.
We do.
And to celebrate. I don't know if you noticed these little decorations we've got in the back, but I brought you something. Let's go ahead and put these on right here. We've got
very appropriate.
Very appropriate because what are we celebrating? Oh my gosh, these are for children.
Yeah.
This doesn't fit.
This only hurt for a while.
This will only take a few minutes.
So,
anyways, what are we so excited about, James?
So this is pretty much a new welcome home. It's more of like a homecoming.
It's a homecoming. Welcome home, Spider-Man, to the MCU. Yay!
Yeah. You know what's funny? Spider-Man 1, it was Spider-Man Homecoming. The second one was Spider-Man Far From Home. And now this one, it's Spider-Man Welcome Back Home.
Welcome back, Tom Holland.
Yeah.
So, you guys, we've been following this for a while, okay? We have whiplash. We have emotions that have been toyed with.
Yeah.
And racked back and forth. So
this has been a roller coaster. The past 2 weeks, a roller coasters of ups and downs.
Yes.
But it looks like we're coming back up.
We're coming back up. So brief history.
Really quick, if I pass out from the string cutting off the blood.
I think I have scissors here. I'll save your life. Okay.
Just in case. If I start passing out, just tell me because we have these. If you can't see, if you're watching on our on iHeartRadio or the other streaming services we may be on. Yeah, we have these party hats.
These party hats that are rather tight. They're not made for grown-up heads. But we're going to make it work for you,
so Spider-Man.
Yeah. So, he was out of the MCU. He was in the MCU. They were negotiating. They were
Disney
going back and forth. And then the last thing that we knew, James, was that they were gone.
Yeah.
That Tom Holland was heading over to Sony to go play with Venom and all of these others, and that the hope was lost. And that we were going to lose J. Jonah Jameson and everything that was set up in the last Spider-Man movie. But no, this is not a rumor or anything, okay? This was Sony and Disney that came out with a joint statement and said, no, Spider-Man is back in the MCU for Spider-Man 3, at least for Spider-Man 3. Kevin Feige is back producing that next movie, and it will be a part of the MCU. Blunt this way. Diaphragmatic breathing, James.
There we go.
There you go. Okay, I think we can take this.
Yeah,
off
I'm losing blood now.
We can't talk if we don't have blood to our heads.
One thing that's great about this whole thing is that this may not have happened without the work of a real hero, a true hero.
A true hero in every sense of the word.
Tom Holland himself.
Tom Holland himself.
He talked to the heads of Disney and Sony, got them together, and he pretty much, he
went to bat.
He went to bat for the fans and for himself also.
Yes.
But really telling them, like, you know what, we made this work. We were so close to, pulling this third film off. But then, you know what, at the end of the day, this, between what happened with Sony and Disney and the public negotiations, that's what this was. Public negotiations.
It played out extremely publicly. Yes, you're right.
And so right now, correct me if I'm wrong, but I understand that now it's a 75-25 take for Disney and Sony. Sony has 75% of the take.
Right.
Disney now getting 25.
Correct.
Originally, they wanted 50%.
That's right. Because it wasn't enough for them that they had all of the merchandising.
They needed more monies.
They needed the more monies. But yes, that is that's the deal as it stands right now, and it's only for Spider-Man 3. So as far as the future of Spider-Man after this next film, we don't know.
No.
We still don't know. So it could be that they're using this final film to make that transition a little bit smoother from MCU to Sony and all of that. There were wild rumors going around that Disney was just going to straight up buy out Sony and all of that jazz, which is
I know, it's crazy.
A little scary. But no, so we have the one film produced by Chris Terrio, going to go along with the MCU storyline. We're going to see him as the protege of Tony Stark, and they're going to get to tie up all of these loose ends that the fans really wanted to see.
Yeah.
But as far as the future after that, what do you think?
Well, you know what? After that, it depends. I really feel like if and when, because I'm pretty sure the third Spider-Man film will be a big hit, a big blockbuster.
Of course, another couple $1 billion.
Yeah, and so I can imagine this going through another round of public negotiations. Because eventually, I think Disney's goal is to, keep taking the feat that Sony is willing to give up. And at a certain point, Sony is going to have to pull the cord again. And I think that's what's going to happen. Unfortunately, but I think that's what's going to happen. Spider-Man, if that were to happen, I think it would be best after the third movie, because even though Kevin Feige and Tom Holland, after the separation occurred, they were going on these interviews and saying, you know what, we felt comfortable, we felt like we told our story, the story that we wanted to tell. BS. Like, that was not the story, or not the way you wanted to end that story. No.
I think everything went south. But, they always have to say stuff like that, to try to keep the fans calm.
You could feel like Tom Holland, like,
foaming at the mouths and... Yeah.
holding his tongue. And we all know, it's, Tom's very loose with the facts and loose with the details.
Well,
and so, it's hard to hold back any of that information.
Oh, poor Tom, But like I said, how amazing is it that he was the one who went at the 11th hour, sat down with the executives and really went to bat for the fans. And he was the one who may have been the tipping point and really helped get this deal finally done. Tell me how amazing that is.
Well, let me just say, because how hard would it be to say no to that face? Tom Holland, he's a cute guy.
I know, James.
If he sat down both the heads of Disney and Sony at a table and they said, please. How could you say no?
With those eyes.
How could you say no to Tom Holland?
His fluffy hair, the fluffiness.
It's so fluffy.
Oh.
Well, I'm happy. And this has really revitalized, I think, the excitement just for Spider-Man in general. Because recently I just bought this comic.
Oh yeah, show us.
Look at that. So we have Spider-Man. Nice. Teaming up with Deadpool. So this only helps the brand of Spider-Man. It helps Disney. It helps Sony.
Yeah.
Hopefully, after the third film and the other last MCU movie that Spider-Man will be in, hopefully that kills it in the box office and they're able to negotiate something further.
We'll see. Yeah, I feel like they're going to end it in a way that will allow them to go in either direction.
So you do think they will break for sure after 3?
I don't think it's for sure, but I think that they're going to make it a little easier for themselves if that does happen, just in case, exactly. And if it does, I had an interesting theory, James, I haven't shared with you yet. Could this mean that, I think that we've established in the previous Spider-Man films in this iteration that Miles Morales exists.
Yes.
If our Tom Holland gets pulled off into another universe and he's working with these other superheroes and not necessarily being a part of the MCU, could we see the rise of a Miles Morales MCU in the MCU?
That's very possible. I mean, that would be cool. That would be really cool.
Would you be okay with that?
Oh, I'd totally be okay with that.
Okay.
Yeah, Miles Morales is a great character, and so the more of him anywhere, in any format, whether it be, into the Spider-Verse, or even live action, if they brought him into the live action real world, that'd be amazing. I think it'd be, and I know some people get all gripey and get all sensitive when we start talking about, showing more representation of people of color. But that is true. Like, being able to see a different superhero that resembles you, especially for young kids, it really does mean a lot.
Yeah.
And you know what? And
it always matters.
I think this is something that I realized recently, because going back through the years, Halloween's coming up. And so I was going through old Halloween photos costumes that I've dressed up as. And I've noticed there's a trend. Like, every 5 years or so, I go back to Zorro. And I remember, like, growing up, you remember the movie Zorro with Antonio Banderas. And, you don't often see Mexican or Hispanic men as leads. And growing at that age, I think it just stuck with me of how great Zorro was and how I could be Zorro myself. And you don't realize that I didn't realize that until recently that meant so much to me, because for some reason I keep going back to that costume, and you can imagine somebody who looks like Miles Morales, or somebody who is, a different ethnicity. If they're represented or they're shown on TV or in film, I think it gives kids, I don't know, it expands their imagination. It gives them a better idea of, like, you know what, I can do that. I can be a hero too.
Exactly.
So I think
and it
the more
inspires them. It
inspires
them, absolutely. For me, I know I recently spoke, or rather, I read an article about a woman who was a diehard, nerd. She loved comics and she loved superheroes, but every stage of her life she was told that she couldn't play. She couldn't play with the boys, or she couldn't be that particular character because that character was a boy. Or she had to be the pretty one, or, because the damsel, she had to be the princess, or this, that, and the other, and she wasn't allowed to play. And just every stage of her life into adulthood, eventually I got to look up this article. I'm going to look up the article and I'm going to link it down below. And iHeart, also, we're going to get a link up in there so you guys can see that in the description. And she was talking about her first job at a comic book store and suggesting to her boss that they have a ladies' night. So that women can come in and experience it and love, the comics. And her boss's response was, well, we don't have a men's night. Every night is men's night, okay?
Yeah.
Exactly. So representation does matter. I'm with you on that.
And for those people who don't want extra representation because they think, it's just they're forcing it upon you, like, get over it. Like,
it's what the world looks like.
It's what the world looks like.
It's definitely what the kids in New York City look like.
Get out of your bubble.
Get out of your bubble, expand your mind, have some fun, be happy.
So long story short, Miles Morales. Yeah, I would love to see him.
All right. We're pro Miles Morales. I think that could be great. Yeah. I mean, Sony showed us that they could create a really amazing Miles Morales. So
a really amazing Spider-Man.
And a really amazing Spider-Man. And so I have confidence in Sony's storytelling. It's it's not the main place that I wanted Tom Holland to go. So I'm very, very happy that he's staying in the MCU. But if, after Spider-Man 3, Tom Holland ends up in Sony, I think it's going to be okay. And if we brought Miles Morales into the MCU, it's definitely going to be okay, because I'm very confident in their ability to storytell. So, anyways, moral of the story, in conclusion, we're so happy!
We're excited. Where's my horn?
Oh, God. Yeah.
Well,
I've lost my breath already.
I know.
All right.
Well, this is the Hub on Hollywood. Thank you so much for tuning in, either via YouTube or now on iHeartRadio. We're also available on Spotify, iTunes, Apple iTunes.
Cool stuff.
And so, thank you for tuning in. We love talking about this.
Exactly. So like us, share us, gotta have us.
Yeah.
Wait, those are just ice
Stone Cold flavors.
Yeah,
Cold Stone.
Not
Stone Cold Steve Austin. He'll come in and
look. I'm pregnant. All I want is ice cream. Just like us, okay? Help me out.
Help us get her more ice cream. The more likes, the more ice cream she gets.
Oh God,
that's how it works.
Yay! All right. But we have so much more to talk about. We have so much more to talk about, James. And next is my favorite topic, always,
my favorite
of
too.
all time.
Our favorite, Star Wars.
Yes, so let's bring in our other little friends here.
Sorry, Leo, or whichever turtle you are.
Oh my gosh, that's Michelangelo, right?
Michelangelo.
Right?
Whatever
if we're wrong, forgive us. He's holding the
we got
Ninja
Chewie
Turtle with the red
Now we got Chewie.
banner. Yep.
All right, we're all Star Wars ready. We are ready to roll. So Empire Magazine, they came out with some new photos, some new interviews, some new tidbits.
Yeah.
One thing that we shared on Twitter last week when the photo first came out was this photo, which we'll show right here, of Kylo Ren.
Look at that.
Yeah, look at that.
Amazing.
Look how cool he looks. Well, Kylo Ren looks like, from my perspective, it looks like Kylo is using the Force to try to, keep his footing on the ground, while the rest of the stormtroopers in the background get blasted by some sort of exhaust from a spaceship.
Energy.
Yeah.
Yeah. From someone fleeing, you think?
Fleeing, yes.
Okay.
And what do you think this picture looks like?
I think this is Rey coming to visit Space Bay.
So she's coming into Bay.
Yes.
To meet Bay.
Yes.
Gotcha.
Yes. I think that, Rey is coming into the Bay to meet up Space Bay, and he's holding himself up, and everyone is getting blown away by the power of their love.
Oh my God, that would be the worst. That would be the worst.
I'm just saying this I wanted to see his reaction, that's all.
Let's follow that a little bit. If Rey landed on the ship and the doors open and her love just
came streaming out in a powerful
I would
blue
walk out the theater.
Force.
I would walk out the theater. I'd be like...
All right. Okay, I'll be more serious now. Anyways, but I do think that that's probably Rey or someone from the rebellion. And I think that they might actually be coming in and not out. I think they're coming in to mess things up. And I think I'm going to predict that we're going to see a series of confrontations between Rey and Kylo Ren, and also some more toned down, like muted Skype conversations.
Yeah.
So I think we're going to see like a little bit of both. We're going to see them still communicating with each other, and we're going to see them really going at it in the war between the Resistance and the First Order, at least until the next, big threat comes and they eventually have to either team up at the end or we'll see. But Chris Terrio had some very interesting things to say. And I wanted to go over that and get your reaction.
Okay.
So, but for the record, why don't you tell us what you think about the relationship between those two characters, who I think are the focal point of, this entire trilogy?
Well, with my theory that they're actually escaping or somebody's fleeing a starship and that's what's pushing Kylo Ren and the rest of the stormtroopers, I actually thought maybe this is right after that scene where Kylo and Rey fight each other on the Death Star. So they're fighting each other on the Death Star, and then they somehow get back inside the Death Star, and then she manages to escape, and that's the scene that we see.
Do you think that's inside the Death Star, though?
It could be.
That looks like it's more like inside like a
at first I did
First Order
At first
ship.
I did think it was in a ship, but I'm keeping my mind open to that. It could also be. I mean, it looks like a Death Star. I mean, it could be a part of the. I mean, the lights are on, so maybe that. I mean,
maybe not. Yeah,
maybe not.
I think it's like it's probably a First Order ship.
Yeah.
Remember, we saw in the trailer some of the classic Star Destroyers from the Empire, from the original Empire.
Yeah.
Maybe they got aboard one of those. Maybe they're commandeering it. Anything is possible, James. There's so many questions that the footage that we've gotten so far has brought up. And
don't you hate it that they don't just give us all the answers right away in all the trailers? Come on. What's the holdup?
But it makes for really interesting speculation.
Yeah.
And it's like so many things are possible. And I appreciate that. Because I feel like before a lot of this footage started coming out, that everyone's like, oh, I know exactly what's going to happen. I know exactly how this story is going to turn out.
Johnson's
it has to be exactly this, that, and the
Ryan
other
Johnson's
thing.
like, hold my beer. You think you know what's going on?
You think you know?
Watch out.
It's a twist. And then, but speaking of Ryan Johnson, speaking of Kylo Ren, the character, and Rey, the co-writer of The Rise of Skywalker, this final film, came out. Disney let him out of his cage, and he gave an interview to Empire Magazine, which I think was very interesting, very telling. He said when they were looking at how to write this film, that there were two questions in particular that they wanted to answer. The first was, who is Rey? Mm-hmm. Who is she? Is she really with the Resistance? Is she this little girl from Jakku who's still broken inside? Like, who is she right now? That was the question.
Is she Kylo's sister?
Is she Kylo's lover? Non-related. And the second one, what was the second question? I think the second question was, how strong is the Force? That makes me think that they're going to be exploring bringing in new Force powers and new abilities, and to what extent can they push what the Force can and cannot do? Get Force push.
Lightning. I can't do that effect, sorry.
No lightning. Sorry. So to what extent can they push what they can do with the Force in this film? They are going balls to the wall, James.
Well,
They're throwing everything out there.
Let's go down with what we've seen so far. So
and then we'll go into a little bit more about Chris.
Yeah, so we've seen Force lightning.
Yeah.
We've seen Force, choke, push. I lost mine. We've seen Force projection.
Yeah.
We've seen Force leaping and landing from heights.
That's right. Yeah, we saw a little bit of Force floating in the comics.
Yes.
That was established and set up that you could save yourself and not necessarily fly, like soaring in the sky like Spider or Superman, but you could float. Okay.
So what power what other power could the Force do, or would you like it to see do? Could it manifest things? Can it create life, or can it create
Force babies?
Force babies? I think
it's already established you can make Force babies.
Basically, that's what Anakin was, because Anakin was,
right.
the midichlorians and that story.
From hand touching?
Yeah, from shaking hands. That's why you only kiss after
across
marriage.
Across the universe.
Oh.
Well, I think they are going to push. I really believe that the centerpiece of all of this is going to be to the extent to which that they can push the Force connection between Rey and Kylo Ren, not just to make babies, but just how long can they talk? Can they touch each other? Can they really transfer things across the galaxy?
Yeah.
Through that connection. Can they tap into the Force itself and balance the Force, both sides, through the strength of that connection? Are they two parts of the Force manifested in real life? I know that there's actual words for this, which I'm going to look up post-haste. You were saying?
No, I was saying that we've kind of seen this this evolution of this Force power, because back in I'm blanking right now. Empire Strikes Back. So after the Empire Strikes Back, Darth Vader and Luke, they're able to communicate telepathically. And so we know that two Force users can speak to each other telepathically. In The Force Awakens, in The Last Jedi, that's when we saw the evolution of actually being able to see and touch each other.
Right.
So the next step in this communication Force power could possibly be transmitting objects, because we know that water. Yeah. Because remember when Rey was on the island, she was wet, but then Kylo, his hand was wet.
No sexual innuendo whatsoever.
Yeah. Yet.
All sexual innuendo.
That's in the next film. Yeah, Rise of Skywalker, if you know what I mean.
Oh, wait. No, that's awful, James. Damn it.
Oh, goodness.
Okay, go ahead.
No, but that's basically it. I think the next, if they want to go with evolving that Force power, then the next go-to move is actual moving, passing objects to one another.
Right.
With the Force.
Right.
That would be insane. Because then you could theoretically teleport.
Yes,
Force teleportation.
That's what I was going to say. So could they physically manifest next to each other?
Oh, that's kind of scary.
And then impact everything around them across the galaxy. So, could he touch her shoulder and appear,
and then she look around like no one's there,
actually physically be there, and physically be in two places at the same time? Or could he travel across the galaxy just by touching her? Those are all, I think those are the questions they were trying to answer as far as how far they can push what the Force can do.
Yeah.
And what will the fans accept? Will you accept that, she can touch him on the shoulder and he can actually teleport across the galaxy and physically be there? I think it would be kind of amazing.
That would be cool. I would like to see them also be able to control the weather, because if Kylo or maybe
up in here.
get some no joke. Like if you think Force lightning is terrible, imagine like a Force thunderstorm.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that is possible. Like we saw with Yoda, Mr. Yoda, who decided to whip up that storm and that lightning to bring down that tree.
Yeah, the Force tree.
The Force tree.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm so technical with everything that I said.
We know our stuff.
Yeah, we do. But I want to see them control Force lightning and maybe whip up a storm like that. Oh God, I know I've read these theories and I know there's some truth to some of this, but when you have two people who are manifestations of the cosmic force and they are at odds with each other, they can create that kind of a storm or an imbalance or something like that. I think that exists somewhere in the comics or the books or the lore.
Yeah.
And maybe we're going to see that.
Because I know that, we're talking about some of the novels, Emperor Palpatine, he has destroyed whole planets before. This is before, like, in canon, before the canon stuff. So this is probably, like, extended universe. But, yeah, he's been able to...
the power that he can harness.
Yeah, exactly. So if in the novels he's able to destroy planets, then maybe that's another thing that we're looking at. Because before, we haven't seen that, in actual canon in the movies.
Right.
Or TV shows. Yeah.
Don't mind me.
Porg.
I love porgs. Give me your porg sound.
That's like a cat.
Is it?
They're more squeaky. They're more squeaky.
Yeah, they're like.
Merp.
This is neither here nor there. Anyways, so that would be incredible.
Did you hear? But speaking about Kylo Ren and Adam Driver, did you see on Instagram? He shared a video because he lost his dog.
The director's dog.
The director's dog.
Yeah, on the film that he's currently working on, his dog. The director's dog was lost.
Yeah.
And Adam Driver has no social media. So he reached out to his friend.
Mark Hamill tweeted out a video.
Mike Hamill tweeted out a video.
What'd you say? Mike who? Mark Hamill. You say that with respect.
Mark Hamill.
I'm kidding. No, but yeah, he tweeted out a video of it, and that was like really nice and really cool.
Yeah, I hope they found the dog.
Hopefully by now they found the dog.
God, is there just nothing that Adam Driver can't do? Like, he's a real life hero, just like Tom Holland.
Well, he hasn't found the dog yet. Let's not raise him on our shoulders. Hey, we can all try. We're trying.
Do you know Adam Driver's dog, Moose?
I don't know.
It's a rescue dog, and it's really adorable, and it's huge. Like he
rescued a dog. No one does that.
Lightning. Okay, but I want to read a little bit about what Chris Terrio actually said about the connection between these two characters, between Rey and Kylo Ren. So he had a lot of great things to say about The Last Jedi and Rian Johnson. He said, some of the most interesting scenes of The Last Jedi are the conversations between Rey and Ren. So we've tried to pick up that complicated relationship that really has been present ever since the interrogation scene in the very first movie of this trilogy, The Force Awakens. So it's not something that Rian Johnson created, this connection. It's something that they were picking up on from the very first movie. So you could say that this odd connection between these two characters really started with J.J. Abrams, and it's going to end with J.J. Abrams, in my opinion. Let's see, and he goes on to say, when Ren takes off his mask, there's a nakedness about him with Rey that he doesn't express to anyone else. And in The Last Jedi, there's a nakedness to him as well that no one else gets to see.
Yeah.
Anyways, I'm sorry. And then they go on to say, why are you feeding the Reylos like this? I'm just,
because they know you're thirsty.
We are all a titter. We are all a twitty. Oh my goodness. Like, this interview has gone, we have been starving. We have been starving, James. And then they just give this to us. We're going to die. We're going to die. Okay, but let me stop right now. Anyways, a nakedness about him that he doesn't express to anyone else. Rian Johnson developed that in a fascinating way, and we've been able to develop it even further. That means the pants are going on.
Oh, jeez.
The shirt's gone.
No, watch the shirt's on, though, and the pants are gone. It's like the opposite. But the pants, but the shirt goes down just past where you can't see.
It's just a tunic. It's a tunic. Yeah.
Because his pants came up to his chest, his midriff.
Ah, gosh, that's another movie for another day.
That guy.
But the metaphorical nakedness, this connection that these characters don't have with anyone else, even Rey. She doesn't really express that side of herself, which is the tortured, abandoned little girl, to anyone else. She just puts on this brave face and the smile, and I'm a hero. But he's the only one that can see that side of her, and she's the only one that sees the light side of him. And so it's, dark attracting light. And I think that's what makes this series and these characters so freaking fascinating, and it makes me so excited for these films in a way that I hadn't been about Star Wars in a very, very, very long time. So when The Force Awakens came out, I was just kind of like, eh. But I think that Rian Johnson developed it in a way that I'm like, wow, this is the kind of story that I really love and I really want to see, and I'm really kind of obsessed with finding out, how does it end?
Yeah.
How does it end? Is there a happy ending for either of them? But I wanted to get your opinion because I'm looking at this through the lens of a thirsty Reylo. What is your more balanced Force opinion, James?
Well, I mean, actually, to be honest, I love
these words.
Yeah, I know. I mean, they're talking more about, Kylo and Rey, and I can't help but stop thinking about, Poe and Finn. Again, we'll talk about them in just a minute because I feel like they're left out a lot. Like, they're pushed to the wayside.
Yeah.
No, but for Kylo and Rey, I don't think it's going to... Obviously, they're very close. They're very connected. They have a very strong bond between each other. But I don't see it romantic. I mean, again, like for Rey, she hasn't had that much interaction with anyone else who has these abilities. Granted, she has just learned these abilities recently also as well. And so I think she really sees Kylo as more of a mentor, as more of an older brother. And I keep going back to the brother-sister relationship because I honestly feel it's more of that, where I think she's lost. And I think Kylo, even though he's lost in his own direction, in his own way, I feel like he has a better understanding of how to use his powers, how he can use them for good, even though, because right now he's conflicted. But for Rey, other than what advice she got, the little advice she got from Luke, the very little advice, I feel like she looks to Kylo as somebody who can help her grow, who can teach, and
he's the only one that's willing.
Yeah,
honestly, he's the one that's nurturing her, and Luke was the one that was pushing her away.
Exactly,
and Kylo's like, hey, I've got the answers. I'll train you.
This ties back to her wanting to find her family. And I think she finds her family in Kylo and Poe and Finn as well. But I think just that obviously the Force connection has that bond, the stronger bond between both of them.
Right.
Yeah.
Because you can't really replicate that with anyone else. Like, you have someone in your mind, and feeling what you're feeling.
And I think if you throw in love among all those other emotions, that's going to complicate things even further. If you just take the love aspect out of it, then you have... again, both these characters are very conflicted. They're both very unsure of themselves, and the worst thing for two people who are in bad situations together, and separately, is to get together with their
in real life, James. In real life, in fantasy, everything works out.
Yeah.
But he's not necessarily going to survive. But maybe the love aspect could be what pushes him back to the middle, if not to the light. Is what I'm thinking. Because if you think about it, in the original trilogy, it was love that helped redeem Darth Vader. It was love for his son. It was that familial love. So I think that it's love that is going to help redeem Kylo Ren and bring him back. I just think that it's romantic love this time around. And you think it's also familial. So we'll see. We'll see what happens.
We will see.
But... we will, won't we, James?
We will. but let me just say that, really quick, Poe and Finn, do you think that, obviously they have, their story arc has to go somewhere. So last time we saw Poe Dameron, he almost ruined the escape plan in The Last Jedi.
He got everybody killed.
Yeah, I got a lot of people killed. And so right now he's at the lowest low point he's ever been. Finn... he now has hope because he almost sacrificed himself, which I think he should have. I think they should have killed him.
Oh,
I know, but I think he should have given his life. I think he should have given his life. If they're going to go with that direction, the last minute save by Rose, that whole character too. The actress is great. The character
actress is great. We love
the
Rose.
character though. The character I could go for hours talking about The Last Jedi in general, but I hope that they give both Poe and Finn a proper arc and a proper ending, because I feel like for the most part, a lot of focus is being directed, and rightly so for sure, to Kylo and Rey. But I feel like hopefully they get their redemption, they get their moment to shine in this film.
I think that they will. You know, I feel like we are going to get a satisfying ending with Rey and Kylo Ren being the focus of the opposing forces, parts of the Force, dark and light. But I feel like, at least from what we've seen in the footage so far, that we're getting more of Poe and Finn together. At least Rey,
we've seen them three. Now the three.
Exactly. Yeah. The trio back together and actually having fun. And that's what the actors have said. They've said, you know, they spent a lot of time together. They had a lot of fun. That this movie is going to feel different. That it's going to be kind of like a buddy adventure almost. In some parts of it, so that's going to be great. I think you're going to get what you want in that sense there. But if you compare it to the original trilogy, in the second movie, the Golden Trio was separated. You know, Luke is off on his adventure, and Luke and Leia, Han and Leia are doing their thing. And similarly in this trilogy, you know, the trio was separated in the second movie, and now they're back together for the final one. And really, the word that is coming from all of these actors is satisfied. And that makes me feel good, James, because when you had the finale of Game of Thrones came out.
I was just thinking that.
And they asked all the actors, they're all like, it ends?
It ended.
It ended. Exactly. And they weren't saying anything, and you're like, oh, God.
That's not good. That's not a good sign.
Coming. And it was awful. But all of the actors seem to be thrilled and happy and satisfied, and that those are the words that they keep using. So my hope is high. My hope is high, James. I'm riding on the high of this Chris Terrio interview, and I just hope that we get more. We should be getting another trailer in October. Is the word? It
should be the last one, right?
Is the word?
The third trailer.
The third trailer.
Yeah.
Bird is the word.
Third bird.
Third.
Third is the word.
Yeah. So we'll see. In conclusion, let us know what you think too. You know, it is possible for Reylos and non-Reylos to get along. Look, we're friends.
Barely hanging in there. She talks about one more shirtless Kylo Ren one more time.
One more hand touch.
This thing is gonna go flying.
No, they're mine. Throw your own toys. Actually, this is yours. This is not mine.
Get the back.
He took my board. No, okay. But let us know what you think in the comments below.
Yeah, what are your theories?
What do you think about
should
Chris
Kylo
Terrio?
and Rey build a romantic relationship? Do you also see it as a brother and sister? Kind of a duo?
Is it familial? Is it romantic? And how do you think it's going to end? Is everyone going to die?
Will Chewbacca die?
Is Rey going to die? Not
Chewbacca!
Chewie.
Not Chewie. Chewie has to survive. If Chewie dies, people are going to riot.
He's the witness of it all.
Yeah.
And so are the droids.
Who will tell the story, if not Chewbacca? Everyone's like, yes. Star Wars.
It'll just be like, when the Ewoks are telling stories. Like all that.
Yeah, just like that. Just like that.
Exactly like
Chewie's
that.
the best storyteller.
We love Chewie.
This far side of the galaxy.
Aw, that was a satisfying conversation. Okay, but we got one more thing.
One more thing
for you guys.
Ad Astra.
Ad Astra.
Do you know that movie that not a lot of people saw?
Not a lot of people saw.
Yeah, unfortunately, it's not, the opening weekend, they opened 2 weeks ago, and I think, I forgot how much it cost, but it made like $19 million on a budget of $100 million.
Yeah.
And so, right now, it's more people are going out, the word of mouth is growing, but it wasn't the smash hit that a lot of people were expecting. But
kind of a slow burning,
very slow burning,
now,
very, it's very... I think it delves more into the human psyche. As deep as they go into space,
exactly.
They go deeper into like the human aspect of it.
Absolutely.
And I think that a lot of people were kind of caught off guard, or
This movie is not about space.
Not about space.
Not about space at all. Really cool space stuff in it.
Yeah.
Not about space.
Yeah.
So I'll let you start, and then I'll let you know what I thought.
Yeah. So Ad Astra, of course, directed by James Gray, starring Brad Pitt, Tommy Lee Jones, and Donald Sutherland. It's always great to see him and stuff. If you haven't seen it, if you don't know what it's about, astronaut Roy McBride undertakes a mission across an unforgiving solar system to uncover the truth. Yes, Brad Pitt, about his missing father and his doomed expedition that now, 30 years later, threatens the universe. Now, this takes place in the near future, where space travel has been commercialized. The trips to and from the moon is basically like, going to the Grand Canyon now. Once you land on the moon, you have kids taking pictures. They're like, they
got mini malls.
They have an Arby's. They have like an Applebee's or something over there. They have billboards. And they actually have, this was one of the cooler aspects of it, space pirates, or like moon pirates.
Yes, so we've brought all of our Earth problems into outer space. So you have the one colonized part that's like the American sector, and then
you have like different countries. Like different countries have their own like colonies on the moon, but there's large swaths of like unprotected or unregulated moonland.
Literally, and they say it in the movie. They say it's the Wild Wild West.
Yeah.
So it's a perfect metaphor for as we expand in every direction, whether it be to the actual West or into outer space, we bring our problems with us.
Yeah. And so for my personal review, my personal take, I really enjoyed this movie. The acting is phenomenal. Of course, again, you have Brad Pitt, you have Tommy Lee Jones.
Oh, God.
And the emotion that they're conveying out there, it doesn't get lost in space. It hits you right. I'm trying to make all these space puns, whatever. But it has a great story.
Yeah.
And even though action isn't the center focus of this film, you do have great action sequences, both again involving space pirates on the moon. The actual when Brad Pitt's character is going towards.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah, I mean, Brad Pitt is trying to find his father, and because his father was working on this project called the Lima Project, where they're trying to find extraterrestrial life. They're trying to confirm that there is more life out there, but during that mission, Tommy Lee Jones' character gets lost.
Right.
The communication gets cut off. But 30 years later, there's a signal. There's something happening that's threatening not only Earth, but the entire solar system.
Right.
And so they're trying to reach Tommy Lee Jones. They believe he's alive, and they send Brad Pitt because they believe by sending his son, he'll reach out again. Because he's
really beautiful.
Yeah. Who could say no to Brad Pitt and that face?
We keep saying that about people.
Yeah.
But really, I was telling my husband, like, my favorite thing about Brad Pitt is his vulnerable face and his vulnerable look at his eyes, and he expresses with his entire body. And I love most everything that Brad Pitt is in. So, yeah. What did you think this movie was actually about? So we've said that it's not actually about space. Tell me what you actually think it was about.
Well, it's about a lot of things. It's about not only it's kind of, you're looking at, okay, so Brad Pitt's character, he's an astronaut. He follows in the footsteps of his father, and so it has you look at the father-son relationship, but it also has you look at your own self, because, who do you identify as? Do you follow in the steps of your father? Is his legacy your legacy? Are you trying to fill up his shoes, or are you trying to be your own person? In this movie, not giving away any spoilers, but Brad Pitt, he basically says, I'm an astronaut because of my father. I'm doing this to make him proud. But this isn't something that he loves it. He loves the career that he's in for sure, but he's not in as love with it as, most other astronauts who
he has a lot of repressed emotions and compartmentalized emotions, and dealing with the fact that his father went off into space and never came back. And so I really feel like this is a psychological film. It could have been set in any kind of setting, but it just happened to be in outer space.
Yeah.
Besides the fact that it has a really interesting look at what our actual colonization of space would look like, I think that I agree with you that this is about the father-son relationship. It's about confronting those things that hurt us in childhood. In this case, it was the abandonment of his father, and how that makes him a not complete person.
Yeah.
He cannot emote. He doesn't let himself be happy in relationships. He doesn't let himself, feel. He doesn't let himself feel. And it's this entire journey is a journey to kind of open those memories back up and confront them and assimilate them so that he becomes a complete person. And it's really cool the way that it's set, but it's entirely psychological.
Yeah, and Brad Pitt's able to convey all of this with very little words because he as you mentioned is very stoic. He's very calm. He's very collected. He's very deliberate in his actions and in his behavior as well. But being able to convey that emotion with mostly, just a lot. There's also narration in this film, which I think really, really helps you get into the headspace of this character.
Because that's what this is. It is about your mind. It is about the mentality of this character. So yes.
Yeah, and with him being he does have help, obviously, during his exploration, trying to find his father. But a lot of the movie, he's also by himself a lot, either physically by himself or internally in his head by himself, where he's talking about, of how he came to be the way that he is, the way that he grew up without a father or without that father figure. And now, being able to say goodbye or being able to really live for yourself, not living in the shadow of your father, of being your own human, being your own person. And I think this is a really great case study for people who may have not had a father figure in their life. They're probably thinking the same thing that Brad Pitt narrates in this film.
Makes you feel incomplete and separated from other people, and I just think it was brilliant. It was a brilliant mental, psychological film with stunning visuals along the way.
The science may not be exactly, science.
Yeah.
If don't watch the movie with Neil deGrasse Tyson because he's going to be.
Don't do anything with Neil deGrasse Tyson. He's a jerk.
He's a jerk. He's a smart man, but he can be kind of he can be a jerk. There are clips on YouTube.
Really can.
Yeah, he's a little. He's in his own head a lot. He's a little pompous.
Yeah, he come on, man. Just
Neil,
be nice.
You're a great guy. Just don't be a jerk about it.
Man. Just chill. All right. Not everything has to be precise.
Washington's come after us now.
Yeah.
Oh God.
Hey, if you're watching though,
Neil,
we love you.
Give us a share. Hey. No, but
I recommend it.
I recommend this film. Again, it's just over 2 hours long. Not a long film, but it's not the sci-fi space action adventure that you may have imagined.
Yeah.
There you do get those scenes in there. Again, you do get those really great action sequences that at times can get you or have you be on the edge of your seat. But again, at the end of the day, this is a very psychological movie. It deals with a lot of emotions.
Right.
And I have a great relationship with my father, I feel. But watching this film, you can't help but get a little misty-eye or start reminiscing about your own relationship with either your father or your parents or just family in general. So it's
a mental film.
It messes with you.
It messes with you. It messes. So be prepared for that.
You leave the theater
But it was
more
cool.
appreciative.
But it was cool.
Yeah.
Exactly. All right. We give it a thumbs up. Yay!
Yay, thumbs up.
All right. Wow, we talked about a lot.
What an episode. Another jam-packed
Another
episode.
Hub on Hollywood with party hats and Star Wars and our nonsense. So thank you for joining us. We have one more wicked nerdy question for you. A popular classic film originally filmed in 1975, remade in 2004. The new version was starring Nicole Kidman, Matthew Broderick. Shot and set in Connecticut. What was it?
What was that film?
Come on, you're smart. Tell me.
What was that film? Filmed it originally in 1975, and then
Wicked smart.
and then they remade it in 2004.
Did you break the string?
No, I was being lazy. I just put it on top.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because it cuts the blood off to your head.
The jugular.
I don't want to have to resuscitate you here on the air. But anyways, thank you guys. We have a Hub on Hollywood. Share, like, love, listen, watch.
Even if you're not home, put it on the TV or the radio for your cat or your dog.
Yeah,
just let it roll. Just go. We have several episodes under our belt now, so just binge them. Just binge those stuff. Binge those episodes.
It really helps us out.
Yeah.
Thank you again. We love you guys. All right. Until next time.
See you guys. I'm James.
I'm Jamie.
Bye.
Bye. Spider-Man, yay!